Black Men of America. That's the organization. Each we have chapters. So our chapter is 100 Black Men of Indianapolis. Right. So we have roughly over 100 chapters nationwide. So pretty much in every metropolitan city. And we have chapters in Barbados, Turks and Caicos, and London. Chapter. I was at the University of Indianapolis for, I've been in higher ed for 18 years. Higher ed leadership, there's various leadership positions. But recently transitioned to do my own thing and negotiated a contract with them, and they became my client. So really, man, just exploring my the entrepreneurship side of me at the moment. See how that all pans out. Market really much it encompasses everything in my profession. So really, process improvement, organizational structure, project management, operational improvement, efficiencies, and things of that nature. Yeah, so we just once again still, back to your earlier point, man, just build it based off those relationships and really trying to connect with people. This is fresh. I might jump back in, I don't know. But right now, we're really trying to build our platform. We have a few clients we work with from a number of different, from child care industry, like as well as higher ed. It's really transparent, really, what type of work that we target.
I'd love to see some more information on it. Maybe I can be assistance to see who you what else you're trying to target.
Yeah. Oh man, that's what I'm saying. It's like I said, it's still it's not the birth stage. So we have a few contracts that I have in play, but still, one of my contracts now is with working with the agency that works directly with the state. So I work with families, things of that nature, working closely with DCS in various capacities. So I have clients in that realm right now, and even pretty much how much you want to scale, right? Because I'm still where I'm in my life, I'm still about that work-life balance. Mm-hmm. I'm real keen on family time, mm-hmm. with family and your son, and really
pushing that love.
Over compensation. That's where I'm at this juncture in my life, and a lot of things I've done leading up to this point have given me that flexibility, mm-hmm. and I've learned to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So once again, it's work, and it's definitely work, but that's where I'm at right now, boss, to be real. But then even with the 100, that's a lot of work. As I indicated to you before, that's a lot of work in itself. Running an organization. And a lot of times it doesn't get the credibility because you say volunteer. People downsize it because it's not paid. Let me be the first to tell you, it's the exact same work. My wife, she's a president CEO of a non-for-profit, and we come home, we're talking apples to apples, right? Everything you're doing, strategy building, everything, budget analysis, I do the same thing. Board meetings, and it gets overwhelming, right? Because it's still trying to balance that family life and things of that nature, and then income. You need money to pay. One thing about the 100, it's a paid organization, so you have to pay to volunteer. So it's not like you could volunteer just to volunteer, but our membership, genetic makeup, is paid membership.
So how would someone become a part of the organization?
Oh man, that's a good question. You really just outreach. Connect with brothers that you may have known, been affiliated with it. Come out to our general meeting. We have monthly meetings.
How do the kids get involved? So what ages are you accepting kids?
Right. So our program is through kindergarten, through pre-K through collegiate. So we have programs to fit all kids. That's the early strategic entry point. Mm-hmm. Just like we use like a brand. Kids know McDonald's, mm-hmm. before they can even talk. They know what their golden arch is. Right. So that same philosophy for marketing. It's the early exposure to our program. Not only the parents, but the students get to learn what we do.
So are you implementing this almost like the 21st Century Scholar Program? Are you getting it in early enough, or what areas are you targeting for schools?
Right. So that's a good question. So from a 21st Century Scholar, we don't really get into the 21st Century Scholars. We do have scholarship-driven programming. So we have 7 programs, right? So we're inside of IPS. That's where our home office is at Arsenal Tech. So that's where our home office is at. But it's almost back to the relationship building. We do put things out on social media. We try to be more intentional about Facebook and Instagram, pushing things out from that perspective. From a corporate sponsors perspective and members, we try to target LinkedIn. So I put things out on LinkedIn. I've been trying to encourage our team to put stuff out on LinkedIn as well. But it's almost word of mouth. I mean, we're coming up on 40 years next year in this city.
So it's a word of mouth program.
Well,
because the reason why I'm asking is
kind of, sort of,
the area I'm in, I would wanted that to be presented to my
your kids. Exactly.
And it hasn't.
Because you haven't seen it.
Bam.
Right. So you could use that. Most of our programming is word of mouth. Do we want it to be that way? No, we do not. We want to be that pillar in the city, just like any other mentoring organization. So that's why we're trying to be intentional how we get this information out to the community.
So I think you could be what is holding y'all back from being that pillar of in the community, saying, hey, this program and
it exists. Yeah. And that's it. I mean,
because it can come from 100 to 10,000.
It could. We don't know if we could support that capacity, but that's I mean, that's a good point, right?
Yeah.
But that's why we work with IPS. That's why we try to work with. We try to partner with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So it's really bridging those partnerships. The Bloom Project is another upcoming mentoring organization. We have corporate sponsors. So a lot of corporate sponsors who support our organization, they have some vested interest because of a family member or a child that's been a part of it. I can say, Lily, for example. Several of my board members work at Lily, right? So they have that immediate exposure to the organization. Pacer Foundation, for example. We have individuals that have been members, a part of the organization, and now work at Pacers, right? So just name a few examples. So we have the relationships that we've built up over the many years, and those relationships bring programming participants, mentors, mentees to the program. And that's really much how the program has morphed. So now that we're in a competitive nature, where a lot of mentoring organizations are popping up, grassroots organizations, we call them, it puts us more in that competitive space now with how can we push more of a market. So back to your point is how can you reach out to more people? And that digital marketing piece really is where we're trying to focus a lot of our attention around community engagement. Everyone's on social media. So posting more on social media, looking at the analytics behind social media, measuring those analytics to see what we should post to where individuals are gravitating more visibility to our programming. We've been gaining traction in that field, but keep in mind is, the 100, we're also going through a generational transition, right? Where a lot of the brothers that's members and sisters that's volunteers are in that baby boomer stage, right? So one thing that I'm faced with is not only I'm balancing the historical perspective of the organization, but also catering to the younger demographic in order to be effective, right? And so it's a mixture, man, how you look at the model. And that's one thing that keeps me up at night is, trying to make sure we engage the older generation because they have the resources, they have the relationships, and also attracting younger individuals where we have programming that's attractive, right? So individuals can be a part of it. So that's, really at my level where I'm always, it's trying to figure out what's the best formula. One thing we're doing now is more social. So trying to reach out to the community, as I mentioned to you earlier, through other initiatives outside our programming. But let me just take a step back. So I could talk about the 100, man, more than my job. I tell you, it's crazy. But let me take a step back. The organization focuses on four for the future. There's four pillars we look at: education, mentoring, health and wellness, and economic empowerment. So all of our programming falls within those four pillars, right? As I mentioned, we started at kindergarten, so that's our summer academy. It's not a camp. People think it's a camp for 7 weeks where your kid go, but it's actually really an academy where they're actually doing curriculum-based work. We recently incorporated mathematics components and foreign language to our curriculum. And we're partnering with Mind Trust, the Learning Lab, that support the organization. And it's been successful, man. I'm telling you, man, these kids, my son been through a couple of years, and seeing the kids, how they transition through their program, they don't lose. It's like learning loss. Because through the summer, kids play. By the time they go back to school, they've lost some of their rigor from their previous grade. So we bring in teachers. We interview our teachers. They're paid. We hire our teachers, and they teach them the curriculum. They're from their current grade level. So by the time they matriculate to their upcoming grade, they don't lose that momentum. But then we also have fun. We try to incorporate educational components, museum tours. We take them to Kings Island. We take them to, Children's Museum, take them college tours. These are all kids, right? Because one thing we realize being, servicing, underrepresented students, is that we can't assume they have this exposure. We never want to assume students have the exposure. Another thing we do is we want to make sure that they're fed. So they have breakfast and hearty breakfast, right? But hearty lunch.
That's something that's good, because I went to Indiana State because someone told me about Who's Your Boy State. It's a program that puts you through politics. You become governor and stuff of the community while you on campus.
Right.
And I don't think if I ever went to Indiana State to live that program, I wouldn't have chose that school.
Mm-hmm.
So the experience put me in college to where, yes, I've been there before. I saw that. I know what that campus looked like. It felt good to me. I would like to go to school there.
See, and that's it. It's just having that exposure.
You got to have some exposure to either take the next leap in your life.
Exactly. And that's where we come in. So even with other programs, this summer we have our team mentoring program. We partnered, I sat down with Darcy Palmer Schultz. He's the president and CEO over at Big Brothers Big Sisters, right on 16th.
Yeah, I applied when I first got down here.
Yeah, so we met a couple years ago, third year, and we know that Big Brothers have a waiting list.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we have a challenge with is after the pandemic, usually our mentoring program, this is program number 2 that I'm explaining, we work with 5th through 9th graders inside IPS schools. So traditionally before, pre-pandemic, we'll be inside the schools, several schools mentoring. So our men come in, suits, dressed up.
Let them see how they're supposed to be when they...
Exactly, because our motto is what they see is what they'll be.
A lot of that is getting away from the youth nowadays to where they feel like, hey, without the tie, I can still be represented. But back in the day, to be a distinguished man, you put the tie on, you let them know that, hey, I'm here for this interview and I'm serious.
Exactly.
You're not the owner and CEO of this sucker, so don't come in trying to...
Exactly. And that's it. But we want to give them that exposure. It's really giving them self-awareness of who you are. And team mentoring program, and all of our programs are curriculum based.
Okay.
So it's all curriculum, mostly 16, 18-week curriculum. So they're coming in. We have a rubric that we go through. Our robotics team mentoring program was recently merged with our robotics, and we now have it at Big Brothers Big Sisters on Saturdays. Back to your point, how do you get the exposure? Because some of the barriers that we realize is that parents can't bring their kids to our programming during Saturday. They have to work, right? Or they just get off work that Friday night. They can't turn around Saturday morning. So Big Brothers Big Sisters, they allow us to use their facility where we can have our mentoring program. So we have our mentoring program in conjunction with our robotics program. So you talk about these young men learning about STEM-related occupations. They're doing programming, they're learning AC/DC, they're building robots. We started building robots years ago before the pandemic. During the pandemic, we sent all of our students in the program robots where they were building robots over Zoom. Right, these $4,000 robot kits that goes out. Right, so it's that's one thing about the program. It's cost to run it. So the robotics, so that's a great program. Then we have our financial literacy program. Now that's where so that was my entry point. So I've been a program chair for that program for 7 years plus years, teaching our youth about investment. So you probably know early on I used to talk about investment, stock market, and things of that nature. That's a product of that program. And that program is held at the University of Indianapolis. And it's been there 20 years, where we're teaching high school students, both male and female, just not, male, the power of financial wealth. So we're teaching them personal money management, and we also teach them basic investments. At the end of that program, they receive scholarship money. So we give out scholarship money. Every 3 of our programs is scholarship driven. So financial literacy program, they get scholarship money for college, and our battalion program is a scholarship driven. Now you may have seen the battalion program. That's one of our flagship programs. The battalion program is all seniors, males, and you may have seen it marketed through various social media outlets. But it's a life skill program. It teaches the young men about life skills. It teaches them about how to be a man. It's called the Rites of Passage program. So the male figure in the young man's life and the mother or significant other, they play a role in it as well. Well, they're a part of the program in some capacity. But we're teaching them financial literacy in that program. We're teaching them about career readiness. We're teaching them, how to handle yourself, to conduct yourself if you're approached by a police officer, right? So we're bringing in law enforcement. We're bringing in attorneys. So we bring in different community leaders to speak to these young men. One thing they do is they have what they call a bow bond. So this program starts in September, so they're about to kick it all off. So it'd be good if you could come down and be a fly on the wall to see what takes place. We usually rent out a spot at Jameson Camp over here on Washington Street, and where they have a bow bond, where they spend a couple weekends at Jameson Camp just bonding with each other, having real stories, working with mentors. And then they do what they call a military style event, right, where they're learning military steps. It's a part of their commencement at the Newfields, where they put on a military style performance for the audience. It's with top hats, canes. It's pretty cool. And then they also have a mother and son dance, where the mother danced with the son, and part of the ceremony is where the father pretty much induct the son into manhood by exchanging a kente cloth. And they, the son kneels on one knee, and the father transition him into manhood with the ceremony. It's a tearjerker. It's a real tearjerker.
Yeah, I'm so up.
And that program yielded this year $350,000 in scholarship money. So through the course of the 100, we've given out close to $2.8 million to our students in scholarship money for the school of their choice. And then we recently relaunched our African American History program back in April. This program has been dormant for at least 10 years, if not 12 years. But we recently received some funding through the Urban League with that national grant. And we were awarded funds, which allowed us to bring back our our African American Challenge program. That program is back. We're going to plan our second cohort, and it's vital, right? As we look at the state of our community, we see how violence is running wild. And a component of that is realizing that our kids may not know who they are, right? We're dealing with identity crisis. So we know this program is vital because it teaches our young kids, our young students, who they are as people. So we're really excited about our African American History program. And then our last program is our Collegiate 100. So we have a Collegiate 100 program that's actually inside of, we partner with IUPUI currently here in town, where our college students do civic engagement at the collegiate level. So I'm the active advisor for the collegiate program. They're currently recruiting. Classes just resumed, so we're recruiting collegiate members. But now that's at the local level, right? But now at the national level, we, as I mentioned to you earlier, that we have over 100 plus chapters. So each year we have an annual conference. And this annual conference, we invite student participants to come be a part of our annual conference. And the annual conference is held in different cities each year. This past year, it was held in Las Vegas, Caesar's Palace. So, our chapter, we took it was 27 of us. We took close to 16 students, and then the mentees, the mentors, and chaperones. So, if you could think about the costs that's associated with bringing those students from point A to point B to Las Vegas and putting them up in the Caesar's Palace. And once again, all the trip is fully funded, it's fully paid for. The kids do not pay a dime being a part of the national representation. And the beautiful thing about our national conference, because now all of our chapters across the nations come together, it gives our students the opportunity to see a network of professional Black male and females. We have workshops, we have different sessions that take place, events, galas. It's just a host of different things that takes place at the national level. Connecting our youth with professionals, and that's another thing we do. We're connected with professionals, and it's a heck of an experience.
How would we reach you, or if we wanted to be a part of the program, how do we get in contact?
www. We even say www.
Yes, we do.
They do. Okay. 100blackmenindy.org. 100blackmenindy.org. Also, the same hashtag, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, 100 Black Men Indy. You can find us. So,
once again, this has been Andre Givens, and we appreciate talking to you. Go ahead with your closing remarks.
No, man, once again, I really appreciate you taking the opportunity. I'm warmed up now. Sometime I'm off, but just to connect with you, brother, and appreciate you taking the opportunity to do a quick little interview. Once again, the work, it needs to be done, it has to be done, and I take my hat off to a number of organizations and individuals that support our youth and advocate for our youth, because they are our future. And we would love to have you or whoever connect with the 100, so we can continue to build on our foundation of positive change in our community. So once again, I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, sir.